Hey guys, it's your girl Boonie, and you're listening to episode 63 of the Boonie Breakdown podcast. The podcast where we sometimes cry, we always laugh, we might get a bit ratchet, but we're forever gonna break it down. Welcome back, guys. I know some of you are probably looking at the title of this episode and like, oh my God, Boonie and sports. How are those words even in the same sentence? But I have an amazing guest on this week's episode. And when I did my audience survey, surprisingly, even with you guys knowing I don't really like sports, that was one of the topics that came up quite frequently that you wanted to hear me talk about was sports. So I don't know why, but I found the perfect guest. She's amazing. It's Reeta Hubbarb, but many of you know her as the NFL chick. We chat about women in sports, the NFL and the player protest, her career as a sports pundit in a man's dominated world. And we also did record this episode before LeBron made his pick to go to LA, but we chat about him too. So stay tuned for the conversation. And now it's time for Boonie's pick of the week. So if you follow me on Instagram, you saw this weekend, I binged all of Pose. I caught up. That show is fucking phenomenal. I didn't even hear about it. Like, I didn't know it was coming around, but I heard and saw things on social media. And then my mom texted me like, girl, you got to watch Pose. It's so good. Another one of my friends said it. So I was like, all right, I'm not doing anything this weekend. Let me binge it. And let me tell you, y'all know I'm really not that big of a fan of This Is Us. Like, I don't cry like everyone does. I actually stopped watching the show, honestly. But Pose, I cried every single episode. It is so good. I love the storyline with Angel and Stan. Like, you shouldn't want to be rooting for him because he's kind of an asshole in terms that he's married, but I love it. House of Abundance, love them. But my favorite is Preytel. Like, he is my favorite character on the show. I'm not going to do any spoilers because a lot of people haven't seen the show yet. So I say check it out. It comes on FX. I have Comcast. I was able to watch the first 4 episodes on demand, but then I had to like download the Fox app. I think it's Fox Now, to watch episode 5 because Comcast was trying to make me pay the $5 and I wasn't paying the $5 for it. But kudos to Janet Mock and Ryan Murphy for putting together an amazing show. So be sure to check it out, guys. All right, let's move into this housekeeping for the week. You guys are really funny. Most of the comments from last week's episode with Chrissy and Sheikah were about Tiana's Taylor album. And a lot of you were saying it wasn't that bad, but my response to all of you was it wasn't that good either. So the shit was whack. I finally finish and listen to it. Like, I never need to hear it again. Hopefully she finally does give us this relaunched album because it still hasn't come out. So fuck Kanye for doing that to her. I just don't understand there. And I got a lot of comments. A lot of you saw the light. You saw the light with Mariah and the Whitney thing. And a lot of you admitted that Mariah actually has a pretty damn good catalog. So thank you for admitting what I already knew to be true. Also, I want to say thank you to everyone who has brought some Boonie Breakdown merch. You know, we have the Whole Mass Stay shirts. The Ratchet in Me honors the Ratchet in You. We have some tote bags. I heard the request. People want the whole bag and a zipper bag so y'all can really go around here and use it as your whole bag. Hold my stay, bitches, because I have a whole bag too. So you know what? That's kind of cute. So I'm like, maybe I am. But I am working on that. So those are coming soon. And I heard the request. People want the Responsible and Ratchet in a tank. So I'm working on those and they should be on the site later this week. Okay, so check it out. Again, you can buy the merch at theboonieBreakdown.com/shop. Be kind with me when it comes to shipping because it's just me. So I'm bundling and shipping all the orders myself. All right. And remember, whenever you listen and you want to share this episode, use the hashtag The Boonie Breakdown. Use the hashtag also PODIN, PODIN. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, The Boonie Breakdown. Follow us on Twitter, Boonie Breakdown. And that's it for me, guys. So let's get ready to break it down. All right, hey guys, it's your girl Boonie, and with me, let me tell y'all, we've been trying to do this podcast for like It feels like 3 years.
A long time.
She was supposed to be in the first season, and then we pushed it off. And I had to cancel it. She had to cancel. But we're having it.
Yes.
So welcome, Reeta, the NFL chick.
Thank you.
Here.
I'm glad to finally get here.
We did it. And it's funny because I have, well, you guys can't see it, but I have a notebook. This is my first notebook when I started the podcast. So I had to flip, like, what did I have down here for her? And flipped and then rewrote it out. So, yeah, you're welcome.
I'm glad we can finally make this happen.
Me too. And I know people are already listening to this, like, why do you have somebody on here talking about sports, Adrian? Because you don't even like sports. But y'all like sports, and people were like, oh, you should talk about this. And I'm like, now y'all know, I don't know nothing. I should have had KG on here to do this too. Wasn't even thinking, but yeah. So I'm here because my first thing for Reeta is, what is one piece of advice? Because I'm dating this guy, right? And he loves sports.
Okay.
What is one little tip for me, somebody who hates sports, to just show a little interest? Because he's also an Eagles fan.
You just gotta fake it till you make it. You can't force yourself to like sports. You either like sports or you don't. So, and we're at the point of our lives where we like what we like, we don't like what we don't like, right? It ain't really, we're not really into trying new things. Maybe like when we were younger, maybe sports doesn't fit into your lifestyle. I would just, act like you're interested. It really is not. Just don't complain. I think
that's fair enough.
I think the biggest thing is that while the game is on, don't complain, and he probably won't care if you like sports or not. So as long as you don't give him the issues while the game is on, I don't think that is as an important thing for men as it is for women who like sports.
Gotcha.
So, he's probably, he knows, obviously, right?
This is actually, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, the universe timed this at the exact moment I needed your advice, because this would have went in on deaf ears.
See?
But now I'm like, no, I really need to, like,
I
do a little better.
I mean, the only thing I think that you should do is just really just not bother him a ton when he's in his zone. I think a lot of times you'll find arguments happen when you find somebody that's like, well, I want us to do this while the game is on. And I think that's unfair. If that's something that he likes, then let him have that moment. And then when that's over, y'all can have y'all moment.
That's fair enough. I always say, I'll make some chili or some wings.
There it is. Oh, girl, you good. You good.
But please don't ask me. I'll even sit there with you next to you.
Right, but don't
be on my laptop.
I'm not. Right,
yeah, I'm gonna be on my laptop.
I think that's fair.
I'll do like when the Sixers were in the playoffs, I would just look at the score like, ooh, they losing. He's gonna be in a bad team. Right.
So
I just do that to gauge how
you gotta deal with him, and that's fair, right? I think that's the key, is like knowing, if you know how much into sports he's in, you kind of know if they won, if they lost, how you gotta handle that, and don't be insensitive to that, because like sometimes the whole fanatic thing gets out of control.
Rough. And like right now, I know I won't pay attention to it, but I'll ask Kenny, and I might even ask you, where does LeBron go? Because that matters apparently too right now. So
of course, everybody wants him to go to LA. I'd like to see personally if some way that Kawhi Leonard at San Antonio can mend some fences with his team, because right now their relationship is super rocky, and it looks like he's potentially going to leave. But if in a miracle Kawhi stays, I would love to see LeBron at San Antonio. Obviously, I like those two together. I think that's a very good team. And then LeBron is a big fan of Popovich, Coach Popovich, who is very liberal. I know you would know who he is. He's very outspoken. He's been very outspoken about this presidency and the state of America, and he's very big on civil rights. So, and he's a great coach. He is, a lot of people like to compare him to the Bill Belichick's of the NBA, because they have a withstanding legacy of winning in the NBA. So I think that would be potentially great. I don't think that happens, because I don't think Kawhi stays. So maybe Philly.
That's what I'm hearing from them.
So your boy happy. You might have to go to a couple games.
Well, that has already been said. A jersey will be purchased.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think I've worn a jersey since
2002 when we was wearing jerseys.
I don't even
as dresses.
No, probably. And then my ass senior year in high school because I wanted a varsity jacket, not sports. I was a dancer.
Right.
My ass was like, oh, it's a softball team. They only got a varsity team.
So
that might be the last time I wore a jersey.
That's
in 2002.
So now if he goes to Philly,
it's already been said. We're going to games. You're going to get a jersey. And
you know what? Even though you're not into sports, I think you'd enjoy the atmosphere of the NBA experience because they do make it very fan-friendly.
I will say I've never been to a football game. I've been to basketball and baseball.
Okay.
And I've enjoyed basketball better than baseball.
Yeah, I think most Black people, let me say that. I think most Black people would agree with you. I enjoy baseball experience just because it is more of a social sport. But I do like it too. I like baseball, but it is a social sport. It really is just like, you hanging out, eating and drinking, and then the game is on like behind you. It really isn't. Where in NBA you're a little bit more engaged in what's going on.
That's true.
Yeah,
because I'm like the last time I went to an Orioles game, might have been like 2 years ago. Yeah, and I went with a group of girls who.
Oh, they didn't like it.
I don't know why we went.
Why? Why would you even?
I don't know.
Free tickets, probably.
My ticket was free. Yeah. I was like, I got these. Let's go. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, y'all wasn't really getting the full because you don't like it. So it's like, we're just kind of hanging out.
My old job, we used to get really good tickets with parking pass. And I would give them to my uncle and my grandfather because I'm like, these are good seats. Y'all should go. Y'all actually enjoy this. So, yeah, I don't know why I did that. But the Wizards, I think that was a free game, too.
Yeah, I ain't paying for no basketball and baseball tickets.
Yeah, I think that was free, too. I know I have never put out money to attend a sporting event. Like, I know that for a fact. But I do want to go to a hockey game.
I do,
and
too.
And now that shit going to be expensive.
Yep. Well,
I missed that train.
It's in D.C.
Yeah, I missed that train.
I do, too. I've been saying I was going to go to a Caps game. I am very anti-DC, let me say.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm very pro-Baltimore.
Okay, so, that's fair enough.
You can't we don't really get along. We kind of like oil and water.
They stole our basketball team.
So I'm right. I'm very, and that's nice that they won, but I don't care. I was more hoping that I was going to get a day off. I did not.
Me too, we didn't. I was really upset about that.
And I was really upset about that because I like half-ass rooted for them for essentially nothing. So, but anyway, I've always said that even though I am never going to be a Caps fan, I always wanted to go to the game to have the experience because I've heard that the Caps or hockey in general, their experience is amazing. And so when the Caps obviously made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, they played Vegas, which was their first year in inception period. They were an expansion team. So somehow the opening for the Vegas team is on YouTube. You can like Google it, like their opening. And it's like, it's like this stage show. It's like they got knights that come out on horses and shit. And I was like, damn. This is dope. I was like, now I want to go to the Vegas team. I want to go see the Vegas team. It's like, it's really dope. They got like a whole theatric thing going on.
That's kind of cool, actually.
It is. No, it really is cool. And that's the stuff I like. So I was like, this is dope. And then like, it's eventually, the team comes out and they get introduced. But it's really, really dope.
So you've been to the Super Bowl, right?
Yes, I have.
How was that?
Well, and so let me say that when I went to the Super Bowl, I went. And that was the year that the Ravens went, but I did not know that they would be going.
That's what's up.
I was credentialed at the time.
Come on, credentials.
By the NFL, yeah.
Come on, credentials.
Now, I didn't get the Super Bowl. I didn't get the game credentials, but I got everything up and leading up to the game. I got the week credentials because they have a lot of press conferences. You can get into the NFL experience, which they have at the convention center of the city. So it just so happened that the year that I had put in for my credentials for the Super Bowl is the year that the Ravens went. It was in New Orleans. And remember, Beyonce was the act. So I went to the Beyonce press conference. And
that's the one where she did the national anthem?
She did the halftime show.
That's when the lights went out.
That's when the lights went out. Yes. And so I have a story about that. I'll get into that. But that was such a great experience for me because, one, I was on one side, I was able to cover it. And on the other side, it was my team. And so it was a lot of people that from here, from home, that came down, you know, either they were going to the game or just was going to hang out. And then, of course, if you've been to New Orleans, you know how great New Orleans is. And it's the perfect town for sporting events. It's perfect because everything is in proximity. Wow. And so with that, with the whole lights out thing, I was actually in the bathroom when the lights went out. On the toilet. Like, not doing the number 2, doing the number 1. But nonetheless, my pants was down. I'm bringing up the point that my pants was down.
And the lights go out.
And I'm not done. I'm like mid-stream. And so, like, literally, because you know black people, we want to get up and run. We want to run. I can't do nothing because I'm midstream and the lights is out. And then, of course, the lights go out and everybody's like, oh, you know, everybody makes like the gasping noise.
So how long were they out?
Almost an hour.
Oh, that's right. It delayed the game.
Yeah. So, and I just never, like, I got myself together, got out the bathroom, and I can remember walking by this group of guys, and the man was like, "This is Vegas. This is Vegas. Vegas is doing this," because at the time the Ravens was up 28-6.
Oh, and that's right. And the momentum shifted.
Yes, and the momentum shifted after, you know, the lights came back on. So the guy was just like, "This is Vegas. This has Vegas written all over it. It has Vegas written all over it." And I'm not gonna lie, like, I started believing in like sports conspiracy theories after that. Like, I know that, you know, sports have had scandals before, so it's not like it's unrealistic. But
because that's so easy.
Yeah, right. But the
low lights.
Right, exactly. Because you know that, you know, yes, they have to come back on, but then the players have to get themselves back into get ready to play. They have to warm up. That takes an extra 20 minutes. So it starts the process literally all over again. So I was just like, okay, I think I'm a believer of conspiracy theories now. Like,
I feel like some are plausible. Sports or non-sports.
No, absolutely.
And especially after you watch like some of those shows, like, I'm not even going to say Scandal, like Homeland and all those. You
absolutely.
Like, they can do anything they want to do. So, shutting the lights off for a little bit.
Exactly.
In a city that's already vulnerable with their infrastructure.
Makes sense, right?
I'd buy it.
Because we still don't really know what happened.
No explanation.
If you think about it. Like, they gave us some vague explanation, but we don't know. So.
Yeah. And everybody blamed it on Beyonce.
Yes, because she shut it down.
Yeah. You know? Oh. So, you said you were credentialed.
Yeah. How
is it being a woman in the reporting side of sports? Because I just see your tweets sometimes, and the guys I don't really know what the terminology, but like I see you debating, and like sometimes the guys are like a little extra hard, like you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't really get that anymore. I don't really get challenged like, you know, you're a woman, you don't know. I mean, that hasn't happened to me. I mean, I know it happens to women, but for me specifically, I haven't really had that happen to me. I try to, when I'm talking about sports, I try to back up what I'm saying with factual data to support what I'm saying, because ultimately, yes, what I'm saying is probably in an opinion, but it's an opinion based off factual information. You know what I mean? So my conclusion and your conclusion might be the same, but what I'm going to do is present to you how I came to this conclusion, and you can't challenge things that are written in stone.
Yeah.
But to go back to your question about reporting, it's been interesting. You know, because obviously sports is a hard industry to be in if you're not a white male. And then if you're a black woman, it makes it 10 times worse. I mean, if you look at Jemele Hill, for instance, I know there's things that I know now she's getting more critique because of the things that she said about the president, but it also shined a different light on her. So people always want to challenge her. And a lot of it does have to do with her ethnicity and her gender. Because it's easy to write off what she's saying because, you know, she's never played or, you know, she doesn't know. And so it's hard. It really is hard. I see a lot of people in the industry that I personally think I could do a much better job than. And I try not to say those things.
Why not?
Aloud, because it does make you seem bitter.
Okay.
And I don't really like to present negative energy in that way, but you know your worth, right? as Adrian, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know what you're great at, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like, I know I could excel at this. And so when I see people that I feel personally don't really have, you know, that's not their strength, and yet they have this platform, it's hard to celebrate. But I do it because, and let me say this, a lot of times they're not black women. They're white women. And so that's why I said it's interesting, because you have the aspect of people challenging you to about your knowledge, but then there's the aspect of the white woman versus the black woman. And so the privilege is there. So I try, you know, not to come off bitter. I want to say so much on Twitter. I do, but then I realize, like,
them shits will come back.
It's, you know, the tweets, you can try to delete tweets, but somebody screenshot it and it's over.
I keep thinking about that, like, if I got further in life, like, shit, been on
Girl, I had to delete that.
I would just shut it down. Me too.
I would just erase every single tweet and just start fresh.
I would have to.
But yeah, because you can do that, but...
Like, I just think about something I tweeted in 2009 when I was 24. I don't know how fucking old I was. But then that shit comes back, and I'm like, well, I'm 34 now. Like, I don't mean that shit no more.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Don't be like Chance the Rapper, who they got his retweets coming up talking about he wanted his pee sucked by somebody without melanin.
These people be digging.
Yeah.
And black Twitter, as much as I love it, as much as I love black Twitter, curse. They will come after that ass so quick.
Yes.
It's like they get together and they become Voltron.
Yep.
And they don't stop until you're jobless and homeless.
Yep.
And I don't have no time for that. So.
Same. So we about to just erase all the tweets. When you think that you're about to get famous, have your manager just erase
wipe it clear.
Yeah, wipe it clean.
And I also own, like, I bought the Twitter, like, my full name. Like, I had not bought it, but I signed up for it. I rarely tweet from it. But I also said when that time comes, I'm going to switch. You need to switch.
And so I used to do that. I used to have 2 accounts. My NFL chick, and I tried to keep it as very football strict as possible. And then I had in another account, Reeta Speaks, and I think it got like hacked or something. So I haven't like got back in it in a while. But that's when I could talk about all the black Twitter stuff that I really couldn't say because I have all these journalists following me on the NFL chick side. Once I realized though that my ceiling in terms of media, I think I had reached. Then I got more relaxed and was just like, you know what? I'm just going to talk about what I talk about. Now, obviously, I don't say the things that I want to say. I don't retweet the things that I want to retweet because there's a lot of topics that I can't put on my timeline. I might talk about it, but I might not put the originated tweet on my timeline. So I still do play, I walk a line.
Yeah.
But my line it's gotten a little bit wider.
And that's the thing too. Like I remember when I first started the blog, I had a different name. I was trying to hide. Like nobody can Google my name. And
right. Because when you Google the NFL chick, I believe my name or if you Google my full name, my government name, the NFL chick comes up. Now I don't know how I can separate the two.
So I talk offline. Cool. Things you can do.
Thank you. I need my name to not come up.
And it's funny. I still do that line where I try because then I switch the name. Like, well, you out here trying to hide your face, but everybody on the internet knows you as Boonie. Like, what the fuck? So you guys, this is dumb. Yeah. But I still try to walk that line that if you type in my full government, that this won't come up.
Correct.
You might do a little more digging to find it. But yeah, I don't want you to just be like, oh, bam, there it goes.
That's me. I'm the same way.
It's the hardest thing. And I think I did a guest podcast for it. It hasn't come out yet. But they kind of took offense because I asked them, can you label it this way? Well, why? Well, it's my fucking name.
Yeah,
I don't know why that hurts you. Can you just say it like this? And they kind of pushed back on me like, well, you didn't even put anything out. So I'm not sure. And you said it wasn't coming out till August. So this is 90 days in advance.
Just do what I ask.
But it's my name.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. But it's tough out here in these streets. When you think future, like, I have goals bigger than this moment.
Yep.
But I know that shit. I need to get rid of them Boonie Ratchet out tweets.
You might as well just go in there and just wipe them clean. Anything, look, before 2013.
Yeah, they all gotta go. They gotta go. So I did want to ask you a question about women's sports because I don't feel like they get any shine outside of tennis.
They don't.
Why?
I just don't think that a lot of people are interested in women's sports. I don't know and I'm not saying that I agree with that. I think women's college basketball is pretty big because you had dynasties like UConn. You also had Pat Summitt, rest in peace, who, you know, was a very legendary coach for Tennessee and made a name for herself. And Brenda Freeze, I believe is her name, the coach at Maryland, who has a following. So you'll find that people watch women's basketball, women's tennis, but WNBA doesn't get a ton of what's the name? Maybe if the U.S. is in the tournament for women's soccer, people will pay attention.
But then they came out that whole thing where they weren't getting paid as much, and then they had to.
Yeah, and so I really don't know why. You know, it's interesting because I started watching. You know, this is like a downtime, right, with sports. So all is going on is baseball. So I started watching women's softball, college softball for women's. And I actually really enjoy it. Like, I was amazed that I was like, because I used to play softball. So maybe the connection is that.
Gotcha.
But, you know, like I was learning about players and like, I was like, okay, this is fun to watch. I'm really enjoying this. And so I don't know why people don't. Maybe, you know, people are still being chauvinist to the whole, well, you know, women's sports isn't as, you know, aggressive as men's sports. I don't know. But I enjoy watching women's sports. And I think that if people just gave it a little bit more chance, they'd enjoy women's sports too. I just think that people already have a line. Like, I'm good. Yeah. I'm not watching it. I got men's sports here. They clearly can't be better than the men. So why would I waste my time? And I think that's unfortunate because you see a lot of competitiveness in women's sports. And I think that that's something that people miss when they're not paying attention.
Yeah, because this is so bad. I was going to say probably the only 3 female athletes I can name.
Serena, Venus, and who else?
Serena, Venus. What's the Hope Solo?
Yeah, and that's only because you probably heard her
in the news. I don't know.
Talking about, you know, urban kids in soccer. Yeah, that's literally probably. I could probably name more, but you know, like I don't know how much more I could name than you.
Yeah,
which means I'm, you know, same thing. Like we aren't really familiarized with women's sports, and there's a lot of good players out there.
I can name one more. Shout out to her because she listens to the Boonie Breakdown. Mo Curry from the Washington Mystics.
There it is.
That's 4.
Okay, you know.
I guess I could go a little more if I went back.
Yeah, if you can
Lisa
think of
Les.
Sure.
Dawn Stain.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, Candace Parker.
But you have to think a lot harder. It's not like I don't watch any basketball or football. Now I can name probably 20 NFL players, and I don't watch.
Right. Exactly. You're familiarized, even though that's not something your thing, but you hear these names. We don't really hear about women athletes outside of Serena, quite frankly. You know, so Serena is it for us. And then, you know, she's black too. So that's another reason why we like, oh, Serena. But yeah, everybody else is just kind of like you said, we could probably sit down and think about it, but you don't have to think about it.
I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like, and even when you were saying about the guy from the San Antonio Spurs, I didn't know how to pronounce his name, but I've seen it.
You've seen it, right.
So when you said it, I was like, oh, that's how you say it.
Yep.
But yeah, it's okay. You know, I should probably go to a Mystics game.
I should go too. I need to do the same thing.
We'll do a field trip.
Yes.
I've never been to a WNBA game.
Same. I really haven't. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think last WNBA playoffs is the first time I watched it. And that's because it was like a really good game. It was a really good game going on. And so I saw people on Twitter talking about it.
I think I remember that.
And so I was like, oh, okay, well, let me turn it on. And it was a good game. So I don't know, man. Like, we really don't give women's sports.
We don't.
It's flowers.
And I
it's
was
unfortunate.
like appalled to know how much WNBA players make.
Oh yeah, they probably make less.
Secretary.
I was about to say they probably make less money than you and I working.
Yeah,
as
now
government
granted,
people.
I know a few of them. They like do overseas basketball during their off season, but why are they making what a secretary makes?
Yep.
And then you have like a bench rod in the NBA is making 100 times as much as them.
Exactly. They make millions of dollars. Meanwhile, the stars are making 5 figures. You lucky if you're getting 6.
That's so crazy.
It's a lot. I mean, it's not a lot. Yeah,
it's not at all.
Now you could be the person that says, "I'm doing what I love and I'm getting paid for it," and that's fine. But then when you see your male counterparts and their money, it's like... Ugh.
Like the refs in the NBA have to be getting paid more.
I would think so. I would certainly think that they would.
Like, that's insane.
It is.
That sucks.
It's a mess.
But it's like, then how do you change that if it goes... It's like this vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle. And I think, obviously, if more people tuned in to WNBA, then obviously it blossoms the amount of money they can spend, because then you'd have TV rights and you've had more, opportunities to have the games played. And so we just have to watch more. I mean, if we watched more, they would get paid more. It really boils down to that. Like, it really boils down to viewership. If more people viewed it, the networks would pay more money to play it.
Look, I'm going to go and get courtside seats. I could probably afford
$5. That's a shame.
It is. I can afford those.
I know.
I'm going to ball out and I'm going to Instagram something, y'all. What's that picture everybody always put when they
with their feet? Their feet, the court is over there like, okay, we get it. You at the game.
That's exactly what I'm going to do at the Mystics game.
Yep.
So I do want to talk, since you're the NFL chick, about the NFL and their anthem protest. Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting. We had talked about this on here before with KG and how people were like, I'm protesting the NFL, and then the motherfuckers was posting the score every week. So I don't know how that protest went.
It didn't go well.
Yeah. They weren't willing to sacrifice. So I know they put out some new rules for the upcoming season. Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
It's a shit show. If I could just be as blunt as possible. The NFL had an opportunity. Quite frankly, I think the whole protest thing was dying down when they brought up this rule. And so now you've done nothing but poke the bear. The bear was asleep. I really thought that they were going to go into 2018 with less anthem protests. Just because, I think that now... That's 2 years ago, because it's originally started, I believe, in 2016. Yeah. So you have to evolve and figure out other ways to get the message across. Mm-hmm. And I think with the players, some of the players were meeting with the owners, and they had come together to put this money together to put out these messages to equal rights and stuff. I think that it appeared that they were moving in the right direction. Okay. Then, all of a sudden, you let your president get into your head, and you come up with this meeting, and you come up with the solution of, well, if you don't want to, if you want to protest, if you don't want to stand for the anthem, you can just stay behind. Okay, well, it changed. That fixed nothing. If anything, it makes this whole thing worse, because it doesn't matter. You trying to appease someone who cannot be appeased. And so now that's just something else that he's going to go by.
Yes.
The solution to all of this that the NFL really wanted it to stop was to stop accepting money from the Department of Justice and not have the anthem played with the players out at all. In college football, they have this happen. The players are not out there before the anthem. So you don't have that issue. That is not an issue. I think it makes things worse. And I do think that my original point of players was going to find other ways to potentially protest is still going to exist. So now I think that it's going to spill over into the field. I think it's going to go with their celebrations. And so I think it's just a slippery slope at this point. You know what I'm saying? And no one's listening to the actual point of the protest.
I think that's what upsets me the most. Is like, it's morphed into this thing against the troop and the flags. And it's like, who the fuck said that shit? No one ever said that.
And it's so crazy to me because, this whole thing has just obviously spiraled into other sports. And so, I've said on here that I really enjoy baseball. I love baseball. Baseball is my first love. I have gone to thousands of baseball games at this point. Never before 2016 have I seen people care so much about the national anthem at a baseball game than I do now. I've seen people talk during it, buy beer during it, yell during it. You literally
in Baltimore, I'm like, they
during the anthem. In Kansas City, they say home of the Chiefs at the end, but yet we're disrespecting it by sitting down. And I think it's hypocritical. I think it's stupid. I just think it's stupid. It's ridiculous how now everybody is so patriotic, because I remember when y'all wasn't patriotic. I remember when y'all didn't give a damn about that national anthem, and so now all of a sudden you care. And so it's just so funny to me.
I think the funniest thing was, though, were all of the viral videos of people burning their sports jerseys and
like stupid as shit.
Yeah, like what?
So you're gonna waste your money that you spent on that jersey.
And jerseys are not cheap.
No. Well, unless you bought it from the flea market, then maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has no value. Maybe it doesn't. But I don't care if I bought my jersey from the flea market. I spent my money. I'm not burning a damn thing.
It was dozens of these videos of different people just lighting shit on fire for no fucking reason.
No reason. None.
And the sad thing about it still is Kaepernick still doesn't have a job.
He doesn't.
Which is amazing to me.
Yep. I pray every day that that young man wins this collusion case. I feel like it's enough evidence against the league. And then you had Jerry Jones literally come out and say, the president's influence played a role into them making the decision that they made. And I really hope that that young man gets his due, because what's happened to him is the definition of patriotic, in my opinion.
He sacrificed his
career. And I don't think that he's going to be hurt for money. I think Cap is always going to be good, no matter what. But I just think that what they've done to him and how they've made this about him and not about the message is so fucked up.
And I remember wanting to go back and watch this interview with him, because I'm like, I wonder if he ever thought it would have spiraled to this. Like, it would have gone this far.
I don't think so. And I don't think that I think he, is the person that's up for the challenge, obviously. But I don't think that he thought this. Mm-hmm. That probably people was just gonna, piss a bitch about it and then move on. And then, and this presidency, I feel like that would have happened had we not had this president. Because it started under Obama.
It did.
And, right after was the presidential election.
That election.
So, he did nothing but kind of make it worse. And so I do think that the politics of this whole situation, in terms of like politics of our country, played into him not having a job. Yeah, I think if you have somebody like Hillary who gets put in, even Bernie, if y'all want to use Bernie and he gets put in, I don't think that this is a big of an issue, because I think that they would have said the same things Obama said. That's his constitutional right, blah, 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 blah.
He just really fueled the fire.
Yeah, he did. He put gasoline all over it.
On everything.
Yeah.
Like, everything's in flames.
Yep.
And I was saying this too, and not to make this political about him, we're going to move on. But I'm just curious how everything that he's done, how does it get undone? Yeah. Or will it get undone? I
don't know. I don't know if we'll be alive when it does.
Yeah, because I'm like, I just feel like this is what people had been waiting for.
Yep.
They got it, and it's like a dog with a bone. They're not going to let it go. So I just don't see how we move beyond this again.
I don't either.
I don't. And that's frightening.
It is.
But at the same time, it's fucking realistic as shit.
Yep.
And to the point where I was saying, like, I really want to go. And that's like, I don't like guns, but I want to go get a gun permit. And not to say that anything's going to happen, but I don't know, for some reason, as you look at how something as simple as this has ballooned into nothing, that I feel like if these things keep going, it's like, you know what, bitch?
Let me be strapped.
Let me be prepared just in case. Like, I was like, I just don't have a good feeling about how something little like this, I just feel like he's does these things to pick at, to test to see what he can get away with.
Yep, absolutely.
And he gets away with all of them.
Continues to get away with them.
Every single thing he does.
Yep.
And I'm sitting on the sideline like, when will be the final straw? And it feels like it's nothing.
I don't have an answer.
I don't either. So maybe somebody out there listening has some type of positive thought, but
it ain't coming from
me. Or me, because I really like this shit is some doomsday ass shit.
Listen, we should be afraid.
Yeah, I do think it should be some type of urgency to be like, huh?
Yep.
So I'll be listening to this shit you be seeing on CNN and like, So I'm gonna say, who out of all of the what do you call them? Sports players? Is that the word I want to say?
Yeah.
Who's been your favorite that you've met in person?
My favorite player that I have met in person. You put me on the spot. I really don't know the answer. You know what? I think that my favorite player, he no longer plays, and I don't know if many people would remember him, would be Dwayne Bowe. He used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh my God, I've never heard of him.
He was a pretty good wide receiver at the time. And he was actually really cool. He was really down to earth, really funny, kind of flirtatious, but you know, that's just how it goes. He was probably my favorite person to like interact with. He was just really, really cool. Another guy that when I met him, he was not current, but he was a former player and he had become a media person, was Desmond Howard.
I've heard
Desmond Howard. Desmond Howard. And it's crazy because the way that Twitter works is like me and his wife are cool.
That's
funny.
And
it's a small world. So, but Desmond is like black as shit. Like Desmond is very, like he probably could pump a fist if you was to let him. He tells it like it is. And I remember interviewing him about Cam Newton, and Cam had not yet come to the NFL. He was he was transitioning because the college season had just ended. And the situation with Cam's father basically auctioning Cam off, had arose, and that was the big controversy at the time. And Desmond Howard just was like, this happens all the time. Like now all of a sudden, because he's black and he's good, he was, really good. He won the Heisman that year, that now all of a sudden this is an issue. Like this is not new. It ain't never going to stop. Parents always go see who's going to be the highest bidder, and honestly, I ain't even mad at that. With the NCAA is just so corrupt anyway, that I have no issue with that. But yeah, Desmond he was very real. He kept it 100. So he was like my favorite former player. And then, like I said, Dwayne Bowe was just very like personable and funny, and at the time he was a good player. So yeah, that was probably my favorite.
So who is your favorite ex-Raven?
Ed Reed, easily.
I saw him at the gas station one time.
Looking like an old man.
Yes. But he was so cool. He took a picture of my brother.
Oh, yeah. I love Ed. Little known fact, I worked at the Ravens for 2 years. My first year there, I interned, and then I turned that into like a part-time job for the following season. And so I had a little crush. I mean, and it really has nothing to do with, I don't know. I don't think it had anything to do with him being an athlete, because I'm not into athletes like that. Like I'm not that person, right? I just don't find a lot of athletes attractive, right? But he was very laid back, and then I really like dark skinned men. Like I'm really like dark skinned dudes. So like his personality. I
like his beard.
But at the time he wasn't looking like he
didn't
does
like
now.
old man. John.
He didn't do the old man thing, and his hair wasn't as gray. It was still black, and he had a beard, but it was like just like a nice close beard, right? And so, I used to be like, hey, I used to like wave at him. He used to be like, hey, how you doing? Like we had a rapport and stuff. But he was really cool. It was really cool. And then just so happens to be one of my favorite all-time players. He's like one of my favorite all-time players, regardless of what team he plays on. But he's definitely my favorite Raven.
Cool. Now I met him. You know who is huge? Oh God. Jonathan Ogden.
Yes.
He is fucking huge.
Yes.
A wall.
Yes. He's
humongous. Oh my God.
Yes.
I mean, it was something, I think in my old job, they did like an event with him and he was like signing autographs for the clients. And I was like, oh my, like I don't think I've ever seen anyone bigger than him.
He's huge.
Yeah, Jesus. And, what's his name? What's the other one?
Ray Lewis? Please no.
No. I would say Ray Rice.
Oh, I love Ray. Let me say that Ray and I don't want to use the term friends, right? Because that's a strong word. But we had become cool. And his wife, back then his girlfriend, now his wife, Janae, was very nice. That situation was hard because I don't want to say too much, but prior to that happening, you would hear rumors about their relationship in which she was the aggressor. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to say this as clean as I can. In which, a couple times she came up to the facility, like upset and, irate and just basically like she was the aggressor. And so for that then happened. Obviously, doesn't matter what she did. We see what he did, and that's never going to be okay, regardless. And so the conclusion that I had come with prior to that after that situation was, okay, this is something that they've been doing, it appears, for a while, but his track record was clean coming out of college. Like, he had no domestic violence record. He had no police record at all. Not that says anything, but it does say something, right? Like, if you can't find anything, you can't find anything, right? But that doesn't mean that someone just decided not to say something. I don't know, but his image was so clean. But after,
it's like all it takes is one time.
All it takes is one time, and it could have been the first time. It very well could have been. But I saw him shortly after at the Target near my house, and I was like, they were together. She, him, and their daughter at the time, because they didn't have the son yet. And so I was like, it's really good to see you. And he was like, yeah, I'm not hiding. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Like, calm down, sir.
That wasn't my intention. I mean, it was, but not to the degree of that for him to be defensive. I was just saying, he looked like, it was just good to see him just trying to have normalcy, right? And he's just like, yeah, and he kind of got loud with like, yeah, because I'm not hiding. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, cool, you're not hiding. And so, but that was like right after. So he had got suspended, but then the video came out after.
The video changed everything.
Then that changed everything.
I mean, they even had a Law and Order episode after that shit.
Remember, the video came out in two parts. At first it was just showing him dragging around the elevator.
It was the 1-2.
Then the 1-2 came, and you were like, okay,
you're like, goddamn,
this here is not good. And so you went from, because the police report, I think, said that maybe she engaged and then he retaliated. But at that point, like, I can't. It don't matter. That's ugly, dog. I don't care what she did.
Knocked your wife out.
Knocked her out. like you literally waited for the elevators to close.
And it was like, pow.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn.
Like, it don't even matter what she did. You already know, like, and look, I'm a firm believer, like, if you get spat on, whatever you got coming to you, you deserve, right? But I can't even, like, seeing that, I can't even say if she spat on him, that was okay. It just wasn't.
He's a small, stocky guy.
But he also lifts weights for a living.
Yeah, I'm like, she's lucky she didn't have a concussion.
Exactly. Well, she was knocked out.
I mean, when you saw the video, it was like, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
And then she was like, Pam on the, like, goddamn, nigga.
And so, Ray is the type, he definitely did the work. He's one of the ones that is a good story, follow-up story, because he did the work. They went to counseling. He did all of these things to rehabilitate his image, and it has helped in some ways, because now teams bring him in to talk about not necessarily that night, but just how it's affected him. Yeah, and I believe that at some point the Ravens might bring him back in to work for the organization.
He was beloved. I mean,
you still found some Ray Rice jerseys around, because you got some people that that's not their line, ain't domestic violence. That's not their line in the sand. So,
And that was because it's so Baltimore. His cousin worked at Car Biz.
Oh yes, I know you talking about.
And his cousin had just sold my mom a car.
Yep.
And then right after that, I think it was my 26th birthday, we were at Select before the shooting. But it just opened. And he was there when
he used to be at Select every week.
Yeah, he was in the VIP section next to ours. And he was took a picture with us. And then it was damn. Then I think that happened right after. But he was always a nice guy prior to. So
yeah.
But that video changed.
It changed
everything.
It really did. And they got married since then. They've had another child. So apparently they seem happy. They worked through it, and I can't judge on that. They appear to be happy, and I just hope that he continues to whatever it is if they take an anger management or whatever, he continues to do the work because that was ugly, dog.
And I mean you can't even make an excuse for that.
None.
But, all right, so we're at the segment where I like to do the breakdown. So I'm just gonna say one thing,
okay,
and you say the first thing that comes to your mind. First one, Marshawn Lynch.
I love Marshawn.
I do too.
I want to say one of the things that he said, and I just can't remember. I'm drawing a blank. Of one
the one I say all the time?
What?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yes, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
I'm that is gold.
Yes.
The Dallas Cowboys. Wish you could have seen her face.
Yeah, my face is more of expressive than Jerry.
Serena Williams.
Queen.
The Ravens.
Can that be a word?
That'll do.
Well, let me change it man.
The Orioles.
Trash.
Oh, they're not winning right now?
Girl, they're the worst team in the whole entire Major League Baseball.
Really?
They are on pace. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone listening, they are on pace to losing for their record to be 46 and 113. That would be the worst record in the history of Major League Baseball, I believe. You might not want to quote me, but if it's not the worst, it'd be top 3 worst.
God damn.
Yeah, so there's some shit. Maybe I should have said that. Maybe that should have been the word, some shit.
Some shit.
Yeah.
God damn. Money.
Love it. Can I have some? Please. Lord, put it in my bank account. Can I say some more words? I need some. Please help me. You listening? Okay.
And the last one, sports.
Problematic.
Problem? It's a good word.
Sports, I love sports. Because, and it has nothing to do with the distraction of it. I enjoy sports aesthetically. The politics of sports is what gets in the way. I am a big college football fan, and over the years, I've become, I think, more of a college football fan than I've been an NFL fan. But the kids don't get paid, and these universities get billions of dollars. These coaches get millions of dollars. They won't let them get paid for their own likeness, which honestly, if you don't want to pay them, just let them get paid for their likeness. That's all I think. I think no one would complain if they could get that legally. They could, because they're getting it anyway. Whether you like it or not, people are giving them money. Boosters are giving them money. So I say that because it's problematic with the NFL, with this whole protest thing. They continue to miss the mark. But aesthetically, I love football so much, and so now I'm at this point where, am I completely to the point where I'm done? I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm definitely not into it the way that I used to be.
But the fact that you're even considering that as an option.
That's why problematic is the word. Because I'm not going to be like the people that that was like, I'm protesting. And then,
on Sunday,
I literally do a show on Sundays. I get paid to talk about it. So I can't not. But I will say in the past year, I have teetered the idea of not doing the show anymore because my passion has changed. My passion for it has changed, let me say. And the politics.
Would you be? The NFL chick would be.
I don't know.
Rebrand.
I don't know what my rebrand is. I just told you college football is problematic, but I love college football. I would love to, I don't know. I don't know what my rebrand would be. And that's the part that I'm stuck at, and so I'm just sports and politics. It always collides because people don't like to admit that it does, but it sucks that it always collides.
Well, I think that's a good point to end on. I want to thank you for coming on, and if you can tell everyone where they can find you on the interwebs or on social media and where your show is.
Sure. So you can find me on @the NFL Chick on Twitter. I have an Instagram page too, but it's been a minute. Now, I've considered doing, since they got this IGTV stuff, like maybe I could play with it, right? But I told you how I feel about the NFL. It's kind of changed. So I don't really know. But I am still doing...
It's an opportunity.
Yeah, it always is an opportunity. But I am still doing the show on PressBox. It is called the PressBox Fantasy and Reality Football Show. You can find it on Facebook.com/PressBox Sports. I believe we will be doing another season of Project Game Day, in which myself and my co-host Glenn Clark, we basically did a follow-up of each game after the game. So we did a recap of the game after every game on Sundays. And it's about 30 minutes long, but it's great. We get I be cursing because I can't hold it in on Sundays. My boss says I can curse. So
there you go.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Yeah, so that's how you can find me, and hopefully I haven't given up on it yet, and so I can have some more content for 2018.
I like it. So I will link all of that in the show notes. So be sure to follow, and watch the show. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you again to Reeta, the NFL Chick, for stopping by the podcast. I don't think I did too bad for an hour of sports chat, guys. What do you think? But again, I appreciate Reeta for coming on and dropping her knowledge on us. And be sure to follow her on social media and check out her show. Links are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts, or any app that you listen to your favorites on. Don't forget to leave a review too. You just might hear it in the next episode. Follow us on social media. Share the episode with those you love, those you don't love, those you fucking hate. I don't make those pretty images and audiograms for nothing. So have a dope ass week. Thank you for listening. Until next time.